Tired of being pregnant? Really, really uncomfortable? Just wish this baby would get out? Oh man, I hear you. I seriously hear you. I understand completely about that. In fact, Michaela really put me through it. When I was planning that home birth with her, the only thing that kept me from inducing was knowing what would wait for me if I did that. First of all, I had already lost one beautiful home birth experience with my son. I had been tricked out of it, but with my daughter, let me just tell you, she really put me through the ringer. In fact, I lay this out, I talk about this inside of Your Empowered Birth, which is now available on Amazon. But let me just give you even more. So at 37 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, finally, I can relax. I can go into labor at any time and I can have my baby. I'll be able to have my home birth. I knew this, and I started to get these niggling, cramping sensations in my back and my hips, and I was getting really uncomfortable. Michaela was also sitting on my sciatic nerve because of the way I carry my babies. Like, she was also quite big in proportion to me. I mean, she was almost 8 pounds, just like her brother. And because of that, there were days where I was so tired and I could barely walk and I was uncomfortable, and she was kicking my ribs up from the inside, and she was giving me so much heartburn, and she was punching my cervix. I mean, it was really frustrating. I would have to keep pushing her little feet down. I get it. I get why you're done. Especially if you have gotten to that point in your pregnancy and it's like, I'm finally 37 weeks, I'm finally 39 weeks, I'm finally 40 weeks, I just want this baby out so I can have my body back. Now, I was a birth advocate. I understood about physiological birth. I understood that the last thing I really wanted was to induce. But even I was getting impatient. So what did I do? I stuffed my vagina full of evening primrose oil tablets. Did not work. I drank all of the red raspberry leaf tea. Did not work. I did all the walking as much as I could do with my hips the way they were. I went to the chiropractor. I had all of the sex until sex became a chore, until I no longer had any interest in it. And I'm a Scorpio. So for me to lose interest in sex, even when I was going to get an orgasm out of it, when I knew that it was going to get my baby out, no more. You don't want to have sex and make it a chore. Like, that's just no fun. So by the end, I was just so done. And I was having all of these stop and start contractions on top of that. So I went through weeks and weeks of, is this it? Oh, I think this is time. Oh, I'm going to send my son off. And things fizzled out. And then it would start up again a few days later, and then it would fizzle out. And some of my clients have even dealt with this as well. It's called prodromal labor. And oftentimes it's your uterus warming up. But there can also be that your baby is not in the right position. So the contractions are trying to shift your baby into position. If you want to kind of understand what's going on, then one of my favorite books, Reclaiming Childbirth as a Rite of Passage by Rachel Reed, really goes into the details of physiological birth. It's one of my favorite books to tell my clients about, and it's something that I've taught a lot on in the past in my YouTube videos. So, I mean, she is just the expert when it comes to physiological birth. There's the other standard, Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. This one, of course, is a little messed up because this one was bought before my house caught fire. Then, here's the thing you really need to know, though, about induction. Pick up Rachel Reed's other book, Why Induction Matters, and you'll understand exactly why you do not want to induce. So she lays out the entire induction process and the difference between that and physiological birth. And I also talk about that inside my book, Your Empowered Birth, which tells you this. The second you introduce any interventions at all, you are no longer having a physiological birth. So I understood this. I understood that if I tried so hard, if I did the castor oil, I would have had a bad time. And that might not lead to me having the home birth that I was envisioning. So I stuck it out. And at 40 weeks and 3 days, I finally did have my daughter. But I get it. I get why you are done. Here's one reason why you don't want to induce. Besides the obvious one that the second you induce, you derail your entire birth plan, and it's a natural birth trap that can lead to a C-section. Here's the other reason why you maybe don't want to force your baby out before they're ready, even with those natural induction methods. That also won't work, by the way, if your body is not ready. And that's this. Your baby is the one that actually decides when labor starts. In fact, they have a surfactant in their for their lungs. It's a protein that is produced when their lungs are ready to breathe on the outside. Until that surfactant is created, labor is not going to happen because baby's actually not ready to breathe on the outside. So you might wonder then, if there's the surfactant in the lungs that needs to develop, maybe that might be why we have so many problems now with kids that have asthma, kids that have upper respiratory issues, babies that end up needing more help when they're born because they're not breathing properly. All of this can tie to induction and C-sections done before your body has even gone into labor. This is why even if you are planning a C-section, if there's no reason to schedule the birth before you go into labor, such as, hey, if you have even one contraction, this could cause a catastrophic event to happen because the placenta is lying over the cervix, that's a reason to maybe plan a C-section before. But other than that, there's no reason why you can't say, oh, I'm just going to wait until labor starts and then go in for my C-section. So you can go that route too. Empowered birth isn't just about natural birth, but the overall model is that we aim for physiological birth and then we pull back as needed for what we're most comfortable with, what we feel intuitively is best for us. And we only take the interventions as far as they really need to go so that we can give our babies the best chance, we can give ourselves the best chance, and we can avoid having that trauma. We don't have to fight, we don't have to beg, we don't have to compromise. And ultimately, we have a healthier pregnancy, a healthier postpartum, and a healthier motherhood. Because when you have a C-section or an induction, you're messing with your own physiological process. You're messing with your baby's microbiome. And this then leads to a lot of long-term complications that the hospitals aren't tracking because you passed your 6 weeks. So you're now off in the other direction, the other departments. So they don't see you. They don't see those long-term results. Again, you can learn more about this inside of my book, Your Empowered Birth. And I do teach on my YouTube channels as well. Links are in the bio. Go check it out. And thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.